Right, today we're making the SkyLab Starduster. I've just got to reel off 34 clicks, about 9 meters of wire, because we've got a center and 3 radials. So let's do that. Because a Starduster is effectively a center-fed dipole with 3 legs coming down. I'll draw it in a minute and show you what I mean. So effectively we've got, for 10 meters anyway, you would have an element at about 2.5 meters long. Then we've got a feed point, and then we've got these 3 radials. Now, in a future video, what we're going to do is we're going to put 12 meters on there, and we're also going to attempt to put 15 meters on there as well. So it'll be a 3 band. And I've got more ideas about all sorts of other things, but this is going up at 18 meters, which is about 60 feet on a massive pole. So I've decided what I'm going to do is use these plates. So that is for the rapide, a little ground plate, and we'll have a little driven plate. The guys are going to attach to here, but we'll need some strain relief, and I've got some nylon thimbles for that. SO239 in there. And then we'll be able to put 1 day, 12, 10, 15, whatever we want on here, and that'll go up the pole. However, that can't be too close to that. So I've found some nylon spacers here, which hopefully will do something like that. And that'll fit on the pole, because the top of the pole, where there is originally a spacer for the 18-meter nebula kit, which is perfect, because that'll stop all this contraption falling down the pole. But it just means I can build around that, drill some holes in this, and then let me go and get the strain relief. I'll show you what I mean. I found these little nylon thimbles here. Now, why am I doing this, and what is the advantage? Because we're up, any antenna for HF up very high will work really well, but the pattern on this is giving us about 8 dB, and 8 dB, by the way, is a hell of a lot. 10 dB is 10 times the power, so 8 dB is, you know, well, a lot. It's certainly double it again, and nearly double it again. That would be 9 dB. So that's what I'm doing. Now, by the way, I forgot to say, making this video, is that I'll put a link to the original modelling and how I envisage this is going to work in the description underneath. Normally, we're used to centre feeding a dipole, aren't we? Now, this is just a vertical dipole. Instead of a single leg, we've got 3 legs coming down. And what I want to do, I want to build the legs very slightly longer than I need them to be for the 10-meter band. I want to build them sort of somewhere between 12 meters, the 12-meter band and the 15-meter band. Because if we just put a 10-meter element but longer elements on here, we'll just end up with a tiny bit of impedance mismatch. And instead of being 51 ohms, it'll be 58 or something. But that way, that's the way we can build 3 elements going up it in the future, because we're going to share the radials. Now, radials for elevated antennas must be very accurate, otherwise you'll skew the pattern. The pattern will change. So I've got to cut these in 3, extremely accurate. Then we'll heat shrink, put one of these wherever I put it. There we are. So put one of these, I'll have to open up these holes. We'll put these thimbles through. The thimbles do open up. We'll have to cut the thimbles. They don't open. I thought they opened. Stick it through here. That's a bit of a bugger. Never mind, we can cut stuff. And then we're going to wrap this wire around it for strain relief at the guy point. Probably the same at the bottom as well. And then this flying lead will actually physically connect back to the ground plate, because the SO239, the PL2V59 screws on here, this is our ground. So just because I'm using that little insulator there, it still means that I've got to put a fly lead back onto here. All right, so let's engineer this. I wonder if we'll just be lucky with a pair of barcode cutters instead of getting all the tools out. Let's just have a look. Yeah, that'll do. I'll do. So that green wire is going to go around there, you see, and that's just 3 strain points. These are threaded already because I took these out of production, so the flying lead will have to come and attach to there, but they all need to be exactly the same size. Might as well just put these little white things on then. They'll go on. It was a bit of a... Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. So when I make the... I'll degrease this and put the wire on. Oh, and I'm going to make this centre. Maybe we should do that first. Just drill out that hole and somehow attach that to that. But we can't short. I want a couple of these between there and there. Let's drill the hole out in the centre first. Now I happen to know the hole is well, it's nearly an inch, not quite, with a 20 on it. There we are. I'll use that little step drill. So we'll use a pilot and then come through with that. So it's slightly bigger than the plate underneath it, that's all. It doesn't need to be super accurate, this, but we might as well try. At least get it in the centre. There is a cool trick for finding the centre of the circle, and I'll let you Google it. Now, drilling nylon is really odd. You don't go too quick because you'll melt the drill bit. That's the middle. Not that it really matters. And I will use this thing and make a hell of a mess now. Interesting enough, that drill bit is already almost too hot to the touch just by taking it through there. Fascinating, isn't it? Perfect. That is in the middle as well, isn't it? And that'll be 20. So let's do the same with this one and we're done. It's just a case of drilling holes around the outside and stuff and fitting it to the plastic plates. So this is UHMWPE, which is similar to nylon 6, but it cuts nicer. Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. It's very inert to RF. However, it's not very UV protectant, so I recommend people use this stuff. 303 UV protection. Aerospace protectant. They really do use it. I don't know if it was invented by NASA or something. Yeah, they would need UV protection out in space. Okay, 2 spacers. What's next? You drill little holes in that plate and that plate, so we've got to take these bits off now. Jeez. I just want to mark holes roughly equally, if you know what I mean. So completely royally screwed that up. So I've cut the holes exactly on the edge, which is because I forgot about the tolerance to the outside thing. But we could do that again. There's not much room though, is there? Or do we get a bigger one of these? Okay, so if that's too small, but I've got 3 of these. In fact, this is the top spreader of the Rapide. I just didn't want to use production plates if I could help it. But that'll fit fine, look. That'll pad it out nicely. So I give it a little bit of gap between the two, and we've got, I'll tell you where it was. It was in here. I've got some 6mm hex bolts that should go through those holes. Oh, we did, there we are. So we'll be able to compress it all together without shorting it out. All right, let me get on with that then. For those of you interested, I'm using a Hero 10 Black, I think they call it, and the microphone is a Rode stereo microphone. If I'm very close to the camera, it's quite a nice microphone. So I noticed in post-edit, you know, you can hear the birds tweeting, things like that. Right, we're at the antenna field. So this is the 18-metre pole. I'm not joking, it's blooming massive, 60 feet. This little join here we'll create a little spreader there, and this is what we need to take off, because that needs to be physically attached to the aluminium plates we've just drilled out. And from that to here is 2.98 metres long. So each section is about 1.5 metres. Now, here's a thought. I was talking to Mike this morning. We could make a hybrid here. We could have 15, 12 and 10 as a kind of a SkyLab thing at the top. And at the bottom, all the way down here, we could have effectively the Armada Classic running 40 up to 17. In fact, you get 80 on now, I reckon. It means running another piece of coax right up the, strapping it to the outside here. By the way, this 18-metre pole is literally, it's gigantic. Until you actually have one in your hands, you probably won't quite believe how enormous than this it is. There's the 12.4, you see. Have you seen that before? In case you haven't seen it, look. There's no relays or anything, it's just the wigglies come in here and it just sees automatically the right element and up it goes. All the way down to 80 metres. Camera is telling me my batteries. The camera is telling me battery's about to die. You don't get a lot of batteries on these GoPros. That's the only thing. Alright, so we're making this sandwich. This is exactly the right size, 18.1 millimetres, to stop at exactly the right place on the tube, you see. So that'll have to go there, and we'll have to drill... Oh my God, we don't have to drill the holes out. Oh, a whisker out. So we can't use these. These are, oh no, we can use these. Silly me. Where's the two front ones? I've done this all wrong. I mean, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Oh, is this a case of fiddling? Well, hey. I'll be astonished if this goes in. You would be astonished, mate. It's a bit out. I didn't think we could be that accurate. I wasn't planning on being that accurate. I will have to run the drill through it. I keep a pack of all my old nuts, bolts and washers in here somewhere. I think they're 6mm. These ones. But I don't know what sort of washers we need. I'm a little bit out of washers. Oh, hang on a minute, 6mm. We've got them in stock. We buy 15,000 at a time. Oh, and wouldn't you like to know what these are? The Signature 9.5s, or I think we'll just call them Signature 10s. Washers. We'll be launching that little freestanding Signature thing quite soon. Don't plague me about it because I'm desperate to get it done. The only reason I'm doing this today, I'm not working on a Sunday, which I normally do, is I've given myself a day off, to be honest, because I've just finished the Unified User Guide. I have actually finished a brand new website. I'll show you a screenshot right now, and that's going into test as soon as I get PayPal and Stripe. You know, for the credit cards and that sort of thing. Right, let's bolt this up. The only other thing I'd say about this GoPro is that the touch-sensitive screen is... well, touch-sensitive. It keeps doing things I don't want it to do. Alright, bolt this up now. I think I'm worried about... well, I assume these are 6mm. Yeah, they are. I've never used nylon bolts before, and I was just worried about how much tension to put on them. Well, we'll find out, I guess, when I start snapping them. Okay, that's nice. I bought these for another project, which I'm not telling you about. This is Wendy's granddaddy's old screwdriver, which was in his school toolbox, and I just always find it a privilege just to use it periodically. So that's why we're using it today, because it's Tommy's. So he was called. I'm trying to think if there's any reason at all that I've got to take this all apart again. I don't think so. There we are, one sandwich. Do we just cut these off? I think we better leave them on, just in case. Right, now time to fit the radiating elements, otherwise known as elevated radials, but this is actually definitely part of the antenna. So we can do that here, can't we? Remember, I want to get these literally exactly the same length. Right, I am just going to Sharpie these at a point all together, because that's where the radius is going to go around there. It saves me continuously measuring them all. And we need some, put the two out of the way and keep one. Okay, and we need some shock cord, glue lined heat shrink. So this is a glue lined heat shrink, sometimes known as marine heat shrink, but it applies a bit of stick, if you know what I mean. Well, it's got glue in it. Life can become a bit deceptive, because if I put what I want to do, which is 3 pieces of heat shrink like that, there's not enough room to get back to there. So I think we'll just take one off, and I'll definitely have enough room for a fork connector here. And that should have plenty enough stick anyway. So why am I using this green wire? Well, you'll find out in a minute, because it's actually got a copper braid going around the outside with a Kevlar threaded core. So it's got a breaking strain of 135 kilos, which is that much in pounds. I'm just going to heat this one back up again and slide that heat shrink down. I think we should take it out of the field, just lay it on and see if I've made a cock up or not. Oh, I haven't drilled out. I think I need to drill out these hex plates here. I think they need to come out a bit, because that there is 18.1 millimeters, and I seem to remember these are at about 10.5 or something, which is why it's only coming down the pole that far. All right, well, that's an easy fix, and that's what it will look like, all right at the top of the pole. Well, at this point here. At this point here, it will look like that anyway. So it's quite big. It doesn't move too much. SO239 onto there, 3 elements going up, 15, 12 and 10, that's the plan. Coaxial loop down to here, or down to there. The pole's nice and big and fat. When I hired this field, right, a couple of years ago, they didn't tell me that when I was doing my videos that every 4 minutes I'd have to stop. Anyway, I think we should put another one of those thimbles there for the end of that, because that is one of the radials and the guy point at the top. It's pretty good. I like it. Oh, I do come up with ideas. Way. Right, not near the antenna, boys. Go somewhere else. Alright, that should finish this part of the project off. Let's strip these wires and get some solder on there. I don't know if the GoPro is good enough to pick this up, but that is just a braid, look, and the Kevlar is underneath. Alright, so that's the difficult bit done. This is the feed point arrangement. And it's fairly heavy. I tend to over-engineer everything, but it is a guide point after all. We'll put an SO239 in here. Lockie normally has them pre-made. We haven't got any right now. And then the centre of the coax effectively going to end up on this plate. So then we can have, well, we could have up to 6 elements. That'd be quite fun, but I think 15, 12, 10 or CB, you know, if you wanted 12, 11 and 10, something like that, or 15. I don't think we could get 20 because it's too high up the pole, but a linear loaded 15, 12 and 10 or 15, 11 and 10, I believe that would work. So good. All right, well, next time let's fit the elements, get it on the pole and see if we can erect the pole and actually get some RF out of this thing. All right, so join me next time where we'll have some fun. Right, there we go. Next video's coming up. Wish me luck, and I'll see you next time when we carry on building the SkyLab Sky Try thing. All right? Bye for now.